was fine. Okay, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram, Rumble. Yeah, all those lovely places we're live.
6 days StreamYard will lose access to your Facebook account. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Click here to reconnect.
Don't worry, I'll handle that later.
We're trying to kick Kilts out.
We're live. We're live everywhere. Everywhere we could possibly be live except Twitch.
It says that Dr. Nelson has trouble with his camera.
Okay.
I got a text message from him. He'll be here.
He'll be here. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How we doing?
We're doing great.
Good morning,
Beautiful
everyone.
day in paradise. I wonder if Dr. Nelson is still fasting. He did 10 days.
That's awesome.
Rockstar amazing. And we have Coach QC on today. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you for having me on the podcast, Dr. Kiltz, and thank you, Alia, for making this possible.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Where are you in this world?
I am in Switzerland, next to Geneva.
So it's a little later in the afternoon. What time is it?
Yeah, it's 11 a.m. and it's a very rainy day. There's no sun around. So, but hopefully we bring the sun from our
we bring you shine wherever you go. That's what I say.
Exactly.
I was up at 3, out of the house at about 4, here at 4:30, live at 5. It's a little snowy, raining this morning in upstate New York. It's beautiful. And we're here to share stories of healing, humanity. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found this crazy healing world.
Yeah. Well, my name is Clement, and I'm right now 38 years old. But I came into the ketogenic or carnivore lifestyle, I would say, more than a diet, about 3 years ago. So before to explain how I moved to it, I have to make a short introduction to the past, which was a very athletic past. Since I was young, my dad was a professional runner. He was a marathon runner who ran 2 hours 13 in 1985. So that was quite quick at the time. So I grew up in a family where I was basically eating a lot of carbs because that was the mainstream idea that you need to carb load before any sports event, And so I grew up like that. I did myself some track and field, middle distance, triathlon, and everything. So I was hooked into carbs until I would say 34, 35. I did train competitively until my 32nd year. And until then, everything was fine. So since I'm 22, I'm a personal trainer as well. That's my job. And of course, I learned, like many trainers in the world, the nutritional guidelines and what you have to tell to clients to lose weight. The now infamous CICO, calories in, calories out, exercise more, eat less. But of course, for most clients, it was not really working very well. But, why would you question what you've learned? Because everybody says that. So if someone is failing, it's probably their fault. They're probably lying to you and they're probably hiding whatever they're doing when they're at their home. Until the time that you experience yourself some failure. So I was applying, at some point I gained some weight, around 35, and about 8-9 kilos of body fat. And I was trying to apply that same advice I gave to so many clients during 12 years to myself. So I went to the gym 2 hours every day for 5 months, and it was just a total failure at the end. I didn't lose any fat. So I started to wonder, okay, what's wrong? Probably something is wrong in my physiology, in my body. And I came to the Dr. Paul Mason video where he was explaining the whole insulin resistance process and everything, and how your body cannot actually oxidize fat once you have high insulin. So I just tried a very interesting experiment. I said, okay, I'm going to stop to go to the gym. I will stop exercising, burning calories, and then I will stop sugar as well. So I did stop sugar, and then after a month and a half, I already lost 4 or 5 kilos. So that was a quite interesting experience because it showed me that everything I've learned has failed, and I was doing the opposite, not spending any calories, but just reducing the sugar intake, sorry, and then it was fine. So then I had the animal products and the plants left. And then I listened to the famous video conference from Anthony Chaffee about plants are trying to kill you.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, let's try that too. You know, I'm already forward into this thing, so 3 months shouldn't be too bad. So let's try. And then my health just increased in a good way. I lost the weight, lost the body fat I wanted to lose, came down to my normal weight, and no more migraines, no more. I had knee pains; they were gone. Yeah, so I didn't have that much of, but I think I was slowly going into a pre-diabetic situation, or I was in a pre-diabetic situation, and yeah, so that was my introduction to the carnivore diet. And then I started to study it more theoretically with the Nutrition Network. It's Professor Tim Knox in South Africa. And now it's a lifestyle, and I do promote it. You, Dr. Kiltz, were one of the people that influences me in a very positive way in that sense, with a few others. And I decided to make a podcast and interview people and just spread the word around, you know? Yeah.
Is this been a game changer in your life overall?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's funny. Usually, when people ask questions, they are wondering either it's too hard, too boring. How do I do with social life and everything? So they only bring the negative, what they think would be a negative aspect of it. And I always tell them it's very difficult to give up on all the benefits I gain. So if you tell me to go back to what I was doing before, I would lose all the benefits, meaning high energy, high focus, no pain. I do wrestling now for the past 2 years. I started wrestling, freestyle wrestling very late, like 36, 37 almost. And I was wondering, this is a very, very intense sport. Can I really do that my age, like start? And actually, I'm the oldest of the team, almost, except the teacher or the trainer. And I see all the young people, they're 20, 18, 23. After 1 hour of training, they're dead. They're like on their back looking at the ceiling. I'm still up after an hour and a half, and I don't feel any fatigue. So for me as a trainer and as me training now, being in a carnivore lifestyle, it's amazing to see, and it's very difficult to explain to people who have not experienced it, because can you translate that with words? I don't think so.
Is this something for everyone or just certain types of people?
Well, if you base your thinking on the evolutionary way of thinking, I would tend to say probably most of us. Some people may have some very existent medical condition that will heal with the carnivore diet. Some will get worse for some reason. I don't know. I've heard both, but mostly people are healing. So I would say most people could benefit from it. But then I would answer in a different way. I would say, if you want to try, everybody can try at least 3 months. You give it a 90 days trial, and you see you're going to feel a difference or not. And then if you feel a positive difference, you want to continue and see where it leads you in terms of health and well-being, fine. If you think this is too much because the social pressure is too high for you, I mean, it's at the end of it, anybody is free to choose. It's your health, it's your body. So
I guess the question is, physiologically, metabolically speaking, are our cells different than other human cells?
I don't think so. I think there is one human being or one race, or how we say in English, one species, unless
so,
there is another species, but I've not heard about any other species other than Homo sapiens sapiens. So
is our gut fermentable? We have a fermenting gut to break down. Is our gut meant to be fermentation in order to break down the plant?
I don't think so. And I have roots from my grandfather from the Caribbean, so they eat a lot of spices and all this kind of food. So I used to cook that a lot around 33, 34, 35, and I was getting more and more and more hemorrhoids. I would eat the day after. I was like all the time, to the point that I did thrombosis with the hemorrhoids. So I had to get a surgery.
Yeah.
And since I've been in carnivore, never happened one single time. So I had no issues with my gut. That's the absolute opposite. And it's that's why when I hear people saying, I need fiber, I need fiber, I need fiber, I say, what for?
Alia.
Yes, I'm here.
Maybe it's we're hearing through Dr. I don't know what it is, through Dr.
Nelson.
I don't know.
I only have one. I don't have any other additional StreamYards or anything open, but
a quick note,
Dr. Nelson.
Quick note, my 5 a.m. is going to 6 a.m. as of May 5th.
Yay!
And we're working on an evening live. Dr. Nelson suggested 3 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. And I suggested 8 p.m. because I can do 8 p.m. Now, we're actually going to kind of not Kilt's be on it all the time, or Ali be on all the time, or Nelson be on all the time, but we're going to mix it up. We're actually going to invite more people in Kilt's Mighty Tribe to be co-coaches and cheerleaders to share the word and way, so that I'm going to be on, quote, vacation in Australia, maybe New Zealand, and talk about maybe Japan for a little bit of time. I don't know exactly where, but so I may be sort of like lost in the world.
You can be lost. You're allowed.
Is exercise like, should we be all like running and doing that every day? Or is it enough just to get out, go for a walk, do the things around life?
I think, well, I've been in the fitness industry, but more in the personal training side, and I only train people at their home. So I've been at the beginning into the gyms and everything, but not anymore for quite a while now. But this is my thing with fitness. And I had a very interesting talk as well with Anthony Faise from Adelaide, Australia. I think that when you look at how fitness evolved, now it's $100 billion industry. And in 2005, it was just a 30 billion. So it's just increasing every year, 5%. And when you think of it, you see more and more people since the 80s going to the gym, lifting weights the way you do and everything. But do they really get better? Yeah, they will always show you a guy who's 25, who's under a lot of products, huge, ripped, shred, fine. Or like this very young woman. But do we talk about a 50 years old woman who had, I don't know, like hernia in the back and has a start of arthritis in the knee and everything? So this kind of audience public is not really shown in the fitness industry. And I don't think, and that's the majority. And these people are not doing very well with that solution. So we have more gyms, more trainers, more coaches, more online training, everything. But where are the results? I don't see them. More people are sick, obese, overweight, like metabolically unwell. and then you. So what is the message of the fitness? The fitness is bringing a form of guilt to me, to the people, like saying, it's your fault. You're not training enough. You didn't pay enough trainers. You didn't pay enough training, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of it, nobody speaks about how do you end up, the cause of the cause. How do you end up there? And I think now fitness, especially since the social media era in the mid 2010, like around 2014, 15, now, if you look at Instagram, most trainers are bringing their own life, their own pseudo performances. So as a credential, as I'm a good trainer because I can do this and that. But can you help people? That's my question. Can you really help someone who's going into menopause, someone who's going into a man who's going retire, and then he wants to take care of himself after 40 years of nothing? So I see the fitness bringing as a marketing tool the performance idea, like athletes. But athletes, the average age is between 17 and 28. And they're training 6-7 hours a day. They have doctors, they have nutritionists, massage therapists, everything around them. And they train, they sleep, they train, they sleep, they train. That's what they do for 10 years. They get paid from Nike, Adidas, all these sponsors to perform. But now if you bring that kind of way of training to the general population, it doesn't fit to me. It doesn't work. It's not the same audience. It's not, they don't have the same capacities. Where I think fitness should focus on health. They should focus on helping people to get healthy long-term longevity. But now there is a shift because they understand that it's a business alley. So now you see more and more of this.
Well, are plants required in the human diet, and are they healthy for us, or is this simply a diet of those that are basically can't find food in our ancient past and we're starving, and basically we were survivalists?
Yeah.
But a high plant-based diet and eating limited amounts of Bighorn Mountain farms meat is part of our problem. Or not eating meat or eating fake meat. Is that a real problem?
I think it is. And I think the second option you mentioned is the right one. Like, I'm not denying that our ancestors could find some fruits here and there and eat them, or roots, probably, most probably, yes, why not? But
Well,
is that what they...
Can I just real quick, because you said fruits and roots. Those were probably our first find, and roots were toxic, but less toxic and more edible. But my bet is, were we eating raw roots? We can eat raw fruit more easily than raw roots. Somehow through evolution, we were able to use them. I mean, because I just want to catch you on that, because I think this is important. I think we did eat roots.
Probably. But I mean, I wasn't there, like most of us, and who knows what we were doing at the time. So we can always think, and then after the Neolithic Revolution, we see like more and more tools to cook those plants materials. You have an extension of the megafauna at some point as well. Mm-hmm. So you can, of course, hypothesis many things. But I think the mainstream nutrition for all our existence as a species and as our ancestors were just an animal based as a preference, as the choice. Then if you need some plants to survive, yes, probably. But just to go back to your previous question, do we need to train a lot? I don't think so. And now I do recommend my clients to train 2 to 3 times a week, very intensely for 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then just add walks in between. And I do not recommend cardio training. Even though my dad was a professional runner, I did a lot of triathlon competitively. So I did all these endurance sports. And I don't think, yeah, I want to show something.
Go ahead, finish that. I don't think.
So I think for three main reasons, it's a bad idea. The first one is that you're going to go into a muscle loss. If you really train endurance training, you're going to increase the muscle loss, which I don't think it's a good thing, because as we age, we want to prevent sarcopenia. So why would you increase the muscle loss before going into that age frame where sarcopenia will happen anyway? So you should prevent that by building muscle mass or maintaining it. Then the second argument is like you just prematurely uses your joints. Like I don't think our ancestor would wake up a morning and go, oh, let's run for 2 hours for nothing, for no reason. Yeah, you walk in the forest and you walk slowly, because if the animal hear you, you cannot catch them. So you want to go very slow. So probably, I don't think our ancestor would, and I claim the fact that we're not born to run, despite what the book says. I don't think anatomically we're made to run, because we have no capacity to run. A rabbit can outrun us.
We're built to walk.
Exactly.
And move and build and create.
Exactly.
And in medical school, my good friend Dave Kilmer, amazing runner. I mean, when I started medical school, okay, Dave would take us out. Let's go for a run. And he'd be like, woo, gone. And I'd be like, Now, he died at 52 of cancer. I believe excessive exercise and a plant protein low-fat diet is a cause of his cancer. I believe it's a cause of almost all disease: plant protein, low-fat, and excessive exercise. Even exercise, because ultimately you went and you hunted and you gathered and you built and you made your tools, your weapons, your clothing, the things that were part of civilization. But no one said, okay, it's time to go to the gym, ever.
Well, it's funny to understand as well, and people need to really, I love history. I studied anthropology and history. I think when you look at when in the Western world, we kind of gave up on the industrialized way of living, meaning like 80% of people would work in factories or in the field. Once we made that shift and we brought all these factories into Asia, okay, people went into offices. So that's when in the 80s, around the 80s, where people started to sit. People sit in the bus, in the tram, in the metro, in the subway, in the car, in the office, all the time. And then what was the solution? Fitness. So you have I think I made the calculation. I can, just to be exact, I will do it again very quickly. So you have 24 times 7, that's 168 hours of living in a week. Now you take, let's say, times 7, that's 112 hours when you're awake if you sleep 8 hours a night. Okay, so out of those 112 hours, people used to move before the 80s and the 70s all the day. Like the way you mentioned, you would work in a factory, in the field, do stuff, walk, cycle, and everything. Now people are seated, probably they go to the gym 3 times 1 hour, and the rest of it they don't do anything. So that would be 100, and let's say you do 4 or 5 hours of walking over the week. That would be 105 hours where you sit and you don't move. Oh, I did a spinning class. It was great. So what?
I think in some ways our desire to feel good, look good is powerful, obviously, and it's reproductively driven. We want to look good to reproduce. That's ultimately the foundation, I think. And ultimately what we're doing here, we're sharing an idea. I'm at my stand-up desk. On my desk, I've got all my paraphernalia, my stuff, but I got my light weights or medium weights. I mean, I'm lifting maybe, what do I got, 20 pounds, right? But I do them while I'm doing my regular stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that when we incorporate motion and creativity, pottery, painting, poetry, music, connections, do your lives, connect and build a community. Because partly, if you think about it, we are general communities of faith and spirituality have been lost, and now we're finding our community and our jobs and maybe our exercise stuff and all these other things, which I think is good to do, but finding ways to get back to our ancient foundation of life and living. And I remember when I was a kid, my mother and sister used to sew, and I would sew and make clothing. I'd work in the yard. I'd, do the stuff around the house. And nowadays, I call someone to do it.
Yeah.
No, because I'm doing other things.
And also, if you look at kids, you have all these ADHD issues and stuff like that. But even me, I was born in 1986. I would still go out, train, run, play soccer, do stuff outside because phone didn't exist this way. Now they just stayed in home playing the screens. And that started from an early age. So I would say something that might sound silly or very simple, but if our body doesn't exist, we're not living. We live and exist in this world through our body. If the body is not there and when we die, we don't exist anymore, at least maybe in a different world, but that's a different topic. But then, what is the essence of the body? The essence of body is about moving. So now, the paradox that I see is and this is a critique of my own job. My own work, my own job profession, personal trainer, did not exist before the 80s. It didn't exist. I was trying to explain my 90 years old grandma what I was doing. She couldn't figure out. She didn't understand. That I would go to someone's place, ring the bell, open the door and say, okay, we're going to do this and that, push up. So the idea that someone who has his own body has to pay another person to help him or her to move their body, which is the essence of that same body, is to me crazy. It's a symptom of a not so healthy society to me. My job should not exist if the society would work well in that sense.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
He's here.
Wait a minute. We got the good doctor here.
Oh, I've been here all along. It's just my camera is not working. Okay, I have a question, Coach Clement. What is your weekly training routine?
I do 2 sessions at home. I made a small home gym and I train body, like a total body workout with like heavy weights. And then on the Saturday, I go to the wrestling training, which is a lot more intense. But I don't do any cardio. My dad was a runner, as I said. He ran 1 hour 23 at the half marathon when he was 63. 64, he had a stroke. So I don't know. So I don't advise cardio anymore. I just tell people just go walk. And myself, I do walk. I live around the mountain, so I try when it's sunny to go walk every day. But I just work mainly muscle building. Yeah.
I think, I look at my parents. They lived to 94. My grandma, 104. The one thing I know about them, they worked. They went out and they did stuff. My mother was always working around the house. She was doing stuff. And just in her last 5 years, 3 years more challenging, she fell and hit her head and got a hemorrhage at one point. But I think that I work in my pottery studio, work around the house and do pottery, which is all handwork and things like that. And it keeps the mind and the body all in a connection. I do some light weights. I do some walking. It's just kind of a routine to get moving because I don't live in the same environment as I think we used to. And our opportunities are a little bit different. But I agree with Mike. you got to do some training, but the training could be part of your daily routine. Or again, I'm standing at my desk. I got some light weights. I do a little bit. I can do some deep knee bends while I'm standing around. I do my 100 push-ups. I do a few pull-ups, but it's just kind of all part of within my environment of my work or my home that I do those things. So we can really incorporate these things in our daily activity. We don't have to go somewhere.
And you know, like in Europe, you look at people who live usually long time. You find them in cities, of course, but a lot of them you find them in the mountain side or in the countryside. And when you look at what they have done, they've never trained sports. They've done field work or all kind of works, but they walk every day. They move every day. They as you mentioned, Dr. Kilt, they move stuff around, construction and everything. And they live very well. They live very well until the late age. And they have not pushed their body to this very extreme, intense training regimen, which, unless you're very young and you make your life out of it, I mean, you make your living, you make your money out of it, that's a choice. Okay, you're going to use your body prematurely. Because we never see the athletes when they are 50, 55, 60.
Right.
But depending on the sport, they're just completely broken. And metabolically, I mean, in terms of trauma and everything. So,
Alia, we're giving away a tasty again.
2, we're done. Today's the last day. 2 tasties today. You got to put #tasty into the, oh yeah, there you go. There's yours. #tasty into the chat and hopefully you win. It's US only. So far, everybody who's won is only in the US. But
yeah, and what I've been kind of crazy, I've been taking my frozen burger meat, either the whole thing or a half, because I do about a fistful of food a day, and I put it frozen in the air fryer for like 6 minutes, turn it over another 6 minutes. It's black and blue, cold on the inside.
Oh,
I love raw meat, but I love that crispy taste and flavor on the outside. So you might try it out. I know Michaela does that a little bit. Peterson is the frozen. What are your thoughts, Clement?
About the raw meat?
Yeah.
Well, actually, last time I interviewed you on my podcast, you mentioned that, and I've been starting this. So I usually eat half of my daily portion raw, and the other half, because I like the hot sensation and the crispy stuff, I do the other half very briefly cooked, but hot on the outside, but it's still very raw in the inside. So, but I like the raw meat.
Doctor, so I think in our ancient evolution, again, we're all telling a story, but what I can see is that we likely hunted, killed, consumed.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have time to wait for the cook, and the food in your belly is the only protection you have from the vultures or the other animals or humans that want to take the food away from you.
Yeah.
Is fat the cause of disease?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Is it better to be skinny in a famine or fat?
In a famine, meaning like you're gonna in a famine, I think it's better.
Famine, hibernation, gestation, nesting, or migration, fat or skinny?
Well, the answer is quite clear. It's fat, of course,
fat.
if you want to survive. But if you want to die, you should be skinny.
Do you do any fasting?
I eat OMAD, so I try to have 24 hours of fast.
Okay.
Every day.
How about any prolonged fasting?
I've been thinking of doing it, but I've not felt the need of it yet. But I know it's a good thing to do here and there.
Okay.
Dr. Nelson, how many days have you done? Or are you still on it?
I'm still on it. Today's the 10th day.
Wow.
Wow. Dr.
Congratulations.
Gilson, we got some questions. We got a question from Instagram.
Go at it.
Ravina, I can't pronounce your last name. I'm so sorry. What's a good diet for women? Are carbs needed? 45 years old. I'm going to say
QC,
carnivore.
you want to answer that?
Yeah.
Our plant. So I always say plants, animals, insects, microbes, mollusks, but our plants and or carbohydrates, because when we're talking about carbohydrate that come from a plant, are they required in the human diet?
No, well, I believe that, no.
No, they're not. At
I'm-
45 years young, I started Atkins probably at 40, keto 40, paleo 45, keto at 50, and carnivore at 55. And I've just never felt better in my life. Do I ever eat a plant? Rarely, but yes, rarely. Small amounts infrequently. They're usually the ones that don't kill me right away.
If it happens that I eat very, very small amount of carb, that would be like once every few months, and that would be rice mostly.
And rice, and see, I think white rice, not brown rice, and white potatoes, no skin, well cooked, are probably the two least antigenic foods you could eat.
Yeah.
Least. And I think the potato is probably more consumable than white rice alone. Because if you look at the potato, it probably provided more nutrients for the Irish than ever before. Anything else.
Yeah. But to answer the question, I mean, the question was, what is a good diet for a woman?
Yeah, 45.
Are carbohydrates required?
And
That
our
was the
carbohydrates.
Well, there's no physiology.
You can't put the question up?
No, it doesn't show up here, but we're streaming via StreamYard's Instagram, but it doesn't pop up the stuff. So I have it on my laptop.
Could you copy that and paste it into your post? I just think that might be a good way to do that. Copy,
okay,
paste.
good. Yeah, let me do that.
Well, I don't think there is a physiological requirement for it. There is no physiological process that requires exogenous carbohydrates. So,
well, is our problem lack of fat?
Yeah.
Lack of animal fat might be the single leading cause of disease, and less so eating plants, but it's not consuming animal fat. That may be it.
Yeah, and I think the difficult part for women, and more than men, but it may happen with men, but mostly I see it with my female client, is they've been into this low fat idea and plants idea that even if they want to transition to a more animal based, low carb, carnivore, it's still very difficult to accept the idea that fat is not dangerous. Fat is what you need. And you need, because in France, we had, I don't know if you heard about this doctor, it was many, many years ago. His name was Ducamp. And it was the Ducamp diet. So it was a high protein, lean protein, mainly poultry and like chicken and this kind of meat, white meat. And it was very famous. Of course, people would lose a lot of weight very quickly.
Right.
But it was high protein, low fat, low carb. So people would at some point crash, of course. And here in France, Switzerland area, when I speak about the carnivore diet in French, people hear carnivore, meat, protein. They don't hear the fat aspect. And I try my best. I try my best to tell them fat is the key resource in your diet as your macros. If you change the fats for the glucid, for the carbohydrates, you need to understand that the protein intake kind of stay the same, around the same, a little bit more in the carnivore than this.
So really, if you think about Atkins, I think Atkins was a lean meat, small amounts of plants diet. Mm-hmm. Again, there was some fat concepts, but most people, when they cook with butter, or they cook their meat, all the fat goes away, it melts. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, eating the fat is number one for survival and health, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just give you an anecdote. I have last week a client, she transitioned into carnivore, and After 2 weeks, she lost 5 kilos. She was feeling great. She went into vacation. She went back into a standard American diet. She gained 2 kilos back, came back to the session, and she said to me, she was completely dead. She couldn't exercise much. And I said, how are you eating? She said, yeah, I'm back into the carnivore diet. I said, how do you eat? And basically she was eating lean white meat.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you have no carbs and you have no lipids. How do you get your energy from? So now you are into a hypocaloric diet, which of course will crush you. So it's very difficult to make that idea mainstream and intelligible by people who are enthusiasts at the beginning, but once they practice it, the idea of fat is very crucial and central into this approach, I think.
I agree with you. There was a question about vibration plates, and I think it's certainly something for people to utilize in their transition. But I would say the fatty meat, salt water, very limited diet, and begin to go out there to the sun and get moving and participate in life, have faith in God, and I think those are ways to heal also.
The specific question regarding the vibration play was whether it was safe for someone with a spinal cord stimulator, and I already answered the person in the chat.
Oh, you did. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. But I would not. It's not recommended for anyone with joint replacements, for example, and probably wouldn't be recommended for someone who has a spinal cord stimulator.
Why? Could you turn it off?
Because the vibration may cause movement of this is something foreign to the body, connected to the spinal cord. There are cables there and vibration of your body. Same thing with joint replacements. I'm saying what the orthopedics say. They don't recommend it.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, when I started in 2008, it was the beginning of these power plates in Europe. I don't know in the US if it was earlier or not. And all the fitness and the gyms bought these kind of machines. And after probably 2-3 years, they got rid of them out because.
What was the harm? What do you think is the harm?
People started to develop these neurological issues because what is how does it work? It creates artificial and fake contraction, like where you can do, let's imagine 1 contraction, the machine will create 2 or 3 contraction.
So is it electrical or is it vibrational?
All right, so vibration plates, and you're talking about electrical muscle stimulating machines.
Not a vibrating one that you used to, stand on it.
Stand up, okay.
Yeah, this one, not the new one that they use now with the kind of gilet and thing. But the principle is that they create more contraction for your muscle. But I think if you can, I mean, you need to look at your body naturally.
Right, that's unnatural.
I mean, if you force your body to do something it cannot, what's the point of it? And this was made back during the Soviet Union for astronauts to increase the muscle mass. And these guys used to do powerlifting. They used to be very highly physically trained. So now you have someone, as Dr. Nelson said, with like joints or existent issues coming in this and like vibrating. I mean, and now all the gyms got rid of these machines.
So I guess the question gets back to what's the cause of all the problems?
Oh, yeah.
What's the cause? I mean, I know that my mother suffered from spinal stenosis and severe pain. And I see so many people. Are we getting back to the same story? Our plant-based diet is causing significant inflammation and a low-fat diet, in that ultimately you're blaming on something else, we in medicine, and our solutions are usually devices and dissections and stimulators that ultimately are temporarily providing some symptomatic relief, but are not healing the problem.
But one thing about the plates, the vibrating plates, it was sold as you can get the same benefits of 1 hour training in 20 minutes.
Oh,
Meaning
Right.
that
And
was the main marketing tool.
the same with electric stimulators.
Yeah. Like 20 minutes is the same as 1 hour. So again, it puts the people in a way that you don't get the responsibility for yourself. You want the easy way. You want the thing, I do not make any effort, but I get the maximum benefits of it. Life doesn't work this way.
right.
What about celery juice? Is that good for us? Paul Flynn's asking on KMT. The answer is
No.
No.
no. How about
I'd rather drink like meat blood or like the blood that you get out of the meat than celery juice, to be honest.
oh, wait a minute. Eating blood, is that good for us?
Well, that's the Maasai. That's what the Maasai do.
So truly, isn't it easy to change to an animal-based diet? Of course it is. It's easy.
Yes, it's very easy as long as you decide and as long as you make the effort to get enough information for yourself. So you have to put into some work, read some books, listen to some podcasts. I did it for 3-4 months before I actually started it because I wanted to be convinced. I wanted to have enough information. And then nobody could tell me this is wrong. But people told me that.
Oh,
but
we can tell you that. But it's easy. You don't need any. What we're trying to share with the world is our ancient diet is carnivore.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get back to who you are by simply eating meat. Don't make this a difficult conversation.
And again,
stop eating mush.
Yeah.
Right?
And in the same way in medical, when they use complicated words, so you don't understand anything.
Right.
In the same way in fitness, I mean, I've been taught some techniques to sell personal training session where you have to basically lie to people, make them that they're not going to be able to be healthy unless they buy sessions from you. So,
well, that's what we're doing here today now.
Yeah.
Is giving. So social media has made medicine affordable to everyone. You'll save money, and by eating only meat, fatty meat. If you want to throw some eggs and bacon and butter and those, you can do that too. And it's easy. You may be listening to all of this and trying to understand it, but the only way to understand anything is to do something. And doing, and Occam's razor says the simple answer is the one. This isn't rocket science. You don't need a doctor's note. And you're listening and learning from people like Coach Clement, and you just do it. Do it. Do it.
But again, it goes to, we live in a society in the West of services. So now services is for everything. You can even get your meal any time of the day at your door. You don't even have to go to the restaurant if you don't want to cook. Now the cooking is coming to your place. So that has extended to a point that people don't want to make any effort. I when people come to me and they say, I'd like to make this transition, first of all, I give them a note about the carnivore diet. There is no instruction, just what is the carnivore diet and the importance of fat, the importance of salt, the importance of all these kind of things. Then I give them a list of podcasts or conferences to listen, maybe 10 of them. It's about 10 hours work that the client has to do to understand what I'm going to tell him after that. But people, even that has become difficult. They don't want to do it. They want to listen to you like a guru, and then whatever you say they're going to apply with no knowledge. They're going to make some mistakes and then complain that, oh, it doesn't work, I had this and that. I'm like, did you look at the podcast with Dr. Kiltz? Oh, no. Okay, please look at it.
I like to say it's easy, and we're all simply children learning.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn and we emulate from the doers.
Yeah.
And the more we're just observing, our brain begins to reformulate knowing who we are. And then because we've been basically brainwashed.
Mm-hmm.
We're brainwashed, and a plant-based diet is an addictive diet. And the masters knew this. So by feeding the masses plants, you become an automatron. You do anything they say, right? And by listening and learning, Coach, what is your podcast? Your one you recommend people to come to more than anything?
To learn?
To learn.
Okay. So of course you can go in any doctor's podcast and hear all this.
Yours.
Oh, mine.
Yours. What is yours?
The one I go to check.
What is your podcast?
I listen to many of those.
I'm sorry. I'm not asking it properly. What's the name of your podcast?
My podcast is Coach QC.
Coach QC.
Yeah.
So all people need to do is go to Coach QC, and then through your site and listening and learning, so many of us at every age, size, shape, gender.
Yeah. And again, I'm not good into social media, and I don't do it for business. I have my own business here, training and stuff. But my only idea was to find the best people in this field, like you, like Dr. Gary Fetke, like Dr. Anthony Chaffee. I'd love to have Professor Tim Knox as well, and other, just to bring this awareness. And some clients are asking me information, and I said, look, I have 25 interviews. I started the podcast last year. It's completely free. But if you want, we can do an hour and a half session, and I charge you. So you mentioned the children. The children are very curious. They can focus naturally into something to try to learn. But I think we lose this ability in a way. We get distracted a lot, and the attention span has reduced a lot, which I think is quite worrying, to be honest. Because when I send a 1 hour video to some clients, they go, "Oh, it's a 1 hour video." I'm like, well, if you don't have 1 hour for your health, good luck to you. You know, what can I say more than that?
Go for a walk and listen.
Exactly.
Do in your studio or wherever you're at, you know, that's driving in the car or
in the car,
on the bus, right?
Yeah.
Listen and learn. That's it. What's that question up on the?
It says, bonjour, Clement. Another question. What is the best approach to see best results in the shortest time? Clean meat with salt and water only?
Well, I would take away 2 words: the shortest time. Because
Right.
the problem is that, okay, you might have target a short time, but what short time means usually is that you don't see you focus on the short term, you don't focus on the long term. But I think the carnivore lifestyle is a lifestyle. So you have to get this information at the beginning to be convinced yourself. So if you jump into this thing and you go into a 4-6 weeks transition phase, then it's going to be a lifestyle. Probably, like Dr. Kiltz, you said 15 years. For me, it's much recent. I've been doing carnivore for 3 years, but it changed my life a lot. So I will not go back to what I was doing before so far. So it's a long-term, it's a long-term move. So don't think about short-term, I would say just make sure what you do, that you're convinced about it. And once you're convinced about it, you go for it. And you're going to improve all your metabolic markers, most probably. You're going to lose weight as a consequence, most probably. But the short-term vision doesn't lead people very far.
You put time in to learn, and then it takes time to build.
Yeah.
Time in, time over time. And ultimately, our body is always shifting a little bit. We're all going to age and die. Sorry.
It's happening.
Really?
The universe is built that way. We're fertilizer for our brothers and sisters and our children's children. Let's bring about some ideas that are radically different than anything we've ever heard. And this is not new stuff, by the way. Our ancients talk about the same stuff forever. Where do you put things like faith and meditation, prayer, other sort of things that are more mindset.
Yeah. I'm writing. Okay, I've been working with people's body for the past 15 years. So I just finished a book about the psychological aspect of personal training, and this is more a method for personal trainers. But now I started a book for everybody, and it's more like a philosophical reflection on how do we use our body in a different aspect of our lives. And your body precedes, in a way, your mental. Like if you don't have a body, you don't have a brain, you cannot think. So every thoughts we bring also come from our bodies. So if you do not, people like to separate. That's the rational thinking, the Hegelian kind of mindset of, the dialectic, like thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. But I think you want to integrate things. Your mind is with your body. It's one thing. So why would you? So if you give to your body a proper, a positive, a natural regiment, your mind will also accord to it. You say accord, yeah. You will be in accordance to it. And for me, more personally, I was raised into a Catholic culture, and at some point, I discovered Jiddu Krishnamurti, and I think if you understand Krishnamurti, you don't even need to listen to him anymore. And that's the difficult part with him, because it's so simple. It brings things to a very simple level that it becomes complicated for a lot of people. And one sentence he said was, be your own student and your own master as well.
So simply Jesus,
Yeah.
a man, a philosopher who shared an idea and a story that was not religious, but it's a realignment of each and every individual in humanity.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the mindset. And I think the mind is the master of the body. And if you work on the mind, the body will begin to flow in sort of connection together.
I agree in a way, but in another way, I see the reverse process, because, for example, if you don't give the proper constituents to your body, then your mind start to go off as well. So people start to develop these, mental issues.
Read the Butterfly and the Diving Bell.
Okay.
Of a man who could not move but his eyes. Again, I'm throwing an idea because my sense is, if we can help on the mind side, then we can motivate the motion side.
Of course.
And so, but we lead with the mind, and the body follows. And your words are actually that, because what you're doing is you're saying, you're sharing ideas, but as you move, you also get motivated. I mean, it's a yin and a yang in a sense.
Yes,
there's a yin and a yang to the whole story, which but because I know that I want to listen to something. What I used to do, I used to go on 10-mile runs, and I'd listen to a story, and it was the combination. But it really started with, I think it's our mindset that's the master. But again, it's yin and the yang.
Yes. For me personally, I try to really bring things together. Let's say if you eat full of sugar and the standard American diet, you might be lethargic and you have no motivation, and it's very difficult to step out of that condition. Once you step into carnivore, all of a sudden people experience this high, like focus and motivation, and they can do project they have tried to do for so many years. So you need this, I think, motivation mindset to function well, and to, of course, lead your actions and your choices and everything in life. But it works together.
I'm sitting on my recliner listening to you every day. And eventually I begin to go to my stand-up routine, and I'm just simply, but still, that's the motivation.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here sharing stories, because too many people are suffering that are just in the doing, but aren't realizing the mindset and the changes. We're lions.
But I think you mentioned something. Okay, I'll keep the word lions, and I keep what you said before, that we are just teachers for each others, right?
Yes, I like that.
But we live in a world where I see a lot of loneliness in the West, and that point is a very, I think, it's something that people are experiencing, and it brings a lot of issues, because once you feel lonely, I think genetically we're not programmed to be lonely. We survived in a very hostile environment because we are a group. And now people are isolated from more and more young age. But that's why I think, yeah, it's very important to recreate this community, to recreate this social network. But at the same time, people need to understand that loneliness is not the way of human beings. We survive being together.
And that's why we do these, because being on and seeing faces are really critical. We're visual and we're auditory, and we're movers. And that's why I love your community, because we're bringing people together. And we're doing it individually, but then we like to know what other people doing in the cohort as we're learning together in all of this.
I see a comment. I think solitude and loneliness are different things. You of course, I do, and all of us enjoy some time of solitude that you choose, to reflect, to think, to meditate, to walk, whatever you do. But loneliness is something that you don't choose, and I think many people nowadays are experiencing that, and it will affect your brain, it will affect your body, it will affect your energy overall.
And loneliness, often, depending on what you're watching, listening to, or reading, will become either you'll begin to come out of it, or you'll go deeper into it. And we're watching the sadness of the world rather than reading and watching and listening to the beauty of the world in your life. And reading is one of the most important things that people can do, but also watching and listening to positive ideas, not focusing on the negativity of the world.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, with also being bored sometimes can make you creative. Like I have a client, he's an architect, very successful guy here in Geneva. And he told me, like, when he was a kid, he used to live in the mountains. And he said, when I was waiting for the bus, sometime 45 minutes, I would look at the mountains, the shape of the mountain, everything. And he became creative this way, in a way. But now, the kids, they cannot, or the parents or the kids, I don't know, maybe both of them, they cannot stand 10 minutes of being bored. So I think it's a whole, as you said, it's a yin and a yang. And in the yin and the yang, the most important is the emptiness in between the yin and the yang.
But and the stress and the struggles are part of our lives to build a better life.
Yeah. You should not avoid stress. Stress is a great opportunity to improve. It's a great opportunity to become better in a way, and stronger as well. I think obstacles makes you stronger, because you have to find solutions to a problem. And once you avoid stress all the time, it seems to me that you lose this ability to face challenges.
You have to fail to succeed.
Yeah.
Right. Glutathione. Should we all be taking glutathione? Glutathione.
I'm my knowledge. I mean, I've no
knowledge, or
I have not much knowledge on that specifically.
Eat meat, repeat, salt and water, and connect with God. And go ahead, doctor.
Many of the benefits of supplements have been found in particular on people following a very high carbohydrate diet. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
eating a proper human nutrition, you may not need many of those supplements. That's you know.
That's what I think too. I agree with you. And some clients, they ask me, should I take this and that? I'm like, I don't know in your body what this kind of supplement will have as an effect. So it's a little bit a guess game that you take some supplements, what kind of impact they will have on your body based on your age, shape, metabolic state. Who knows, really?
Yeah, I think when you eat the fatty meat, the organ meats, you get all the minerals, vitamins, and nutrients you need. And I agree with Dr. Nelson. Which is the one supplement, mineral, vitamin your body is like aching for. Nobody really knows that. If we get it through natural, I mean, my bias is organ meats and liver supplements in the standard eaters. But yes, there are some supplements out there that may be valuable, but the best one is G for gratitude, our good friend Benazati, and eat the meat in the organ meats.
Yeah. And
okay, so we're giving away 2. Giving away something at the end is always the best.
Yes, we're giving away 2. Exactly.
By the way,
Okay,
Dr. Kills, where do we find those organ meats and liver supplements?
Well, you should go to drkiltz.com, or you could also get them on molecularfertility.com. I don't know if our Kiltz Health website is live and active now.
It is kiltzhealth.com.
And we're making sure they get our hats or shirts and join the tribe. And remember, joining the tribe is for free. Dr. Nelson and the team are working on coaching certification for everyone, and links to Coach QC and all of our amazing, inspiring stories that each and every one of you has shared.
And a few people this past Sunday mentioned that they have a hard time getting the link for the Monday Zoom calls.
Which is why we're leaving the Mighty Tribe, that website. It's very complicated.
Let me tell them, when you go to the Kills Mighty Tribe website, when you signed up, or if you go to the website, on the left-hand side, there's a menu. It says events. You have to click on events, and you will find the link for the Zoom call there.
Well, it's also easy just to put the link to the Monday evening on every one of our sites that you just click it and come in.
Yes.
All right. And that's where we want to if we make it open and accessible to everyone, even non-members, but once they do that, they become a member. It's simple. Make it simple to become a member. As we're looking towards our new platforms, but no matter what it is, it still takes a human being. We got to figure out the way to get the right link in there, because I can't find it.
Oh, no.
Thankfully, we got Dr. Nelson and Alia to help Kiltz find his way. What's the best way to eat a potato?
Deep fried in tallow.
Deep fried in tallow, double fried, extra crispy, with a shitload of grease from the steak, salt, and sour cream and butter. And you can do that on your baked potato, on your French fry, well cooked, no skin, and it's less toxic. But I'm not telling you to eat that all the time. All right, QC, do you have any other things that you want to add or ask?
What is your thought on dairy products?
Dairy, milk from a breast, and then meat from the bone. I think some of us can tolerate milk products, but I don't do yogurts or milk. I do cream and butter, some cheeses, but they're not my go-to in general, although I do love Kiltz's ice cream. So, but I think that some people may be more allergenic to it than others and not know it. So I would say that rare to raw fatty meat, salt, and water is our primary. If you want to go chicken, fish, and turkey, but there's no fat, and using gelato. Rockman love gelato. And again, these are okay to have, but not always. But some people again just can't tolerate them, and they
Right.
need to take some supplemental enzymes to help break them down if that's where you want to go.
Now, the thing I'd like to add is that, if we think about the whole thing, like look at animals. I don't see any animals having chronic disease. I don't see any animals taking supplements. So the first questions is like, first of all, think of yourself as a part of a specific species, and then try to go into more knowledge about that specific species and nutrition, and then try and go progressively into this thing transition. But I think human beings are meant to strive to thrive. They're not meant to be sick and miserable.
How many adult animals suck on a mammary gland?
Not much.
Zero.
Right?
Zero. And so milk is for babies, meat is for everyone past the suckling time. And I agree with you very much. And we're meant to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, doctor.
No, I was just going to point out it's 6:11.
Well, we're going to be going to 6 o'clock soon.
We're just practicing.
I've already cleared my schedule so that the new 6 a.m. maybe we do double 6 a.m., 6 p.m. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Where the six times is coming up. But do you want to do our giveaway real quick, and then we can.
But only once we read this from Rahman. Mammary glands are for fun, not food. After the age of like 7. You can nurse your kids to 7. I think that I've heard you can nurse your babies till 7 years old. I did.
Well,
you could.
You could eat to suckle till you're 20. In general, what are the odds? So breastfeeding is long enough so the child can eat real food,
right?
And then they should be done with it. Then the woman gets pregnant again. That's our ancient natural sense. We've lost our way.
We've lost our way.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the most complex thing is always simplicity to me. So I know it can take some time to reword and go back into a simple way of thinking, simple way of living, simple way of communicating, simple way of eating. Once you manage to be simple, life is easy.
And Occam's razor says the simple answer is the one, and truly it is all simple. And science makes it snake oil hard.
Yeah, because they have usually something to sell out of it. So
we really, I think that's one of the most important things. So, do we need glutathione? I mean, the metabolic pathways are complicated, and I think many of them are wrong. Glucose is for glycosylation. It's not a direct energy source for the mitochondria. It is not. It must be converted to fat in the liver, and fat is the only thing you oxidize and burn for energy. You do not ever burn sugar. And the fact that we're eating way too frequently and too much is one of our biggest problems. Even carnivores can get fat, which is not detrimental, but we can get fat on eating meat. And polar bears do it all the time.
Yeah.
Or as much as they can, because they're going to spend a lot of time with no food. None.
Let's see. Oh, we got to do the giveaway. Okay, giveaway number 1. Drum roll, please. Oh, this is long because we have 115 people. Bradley Sanford, good job.
All right,
First one, you need to email me your address and your phone number. Okay, Bradley Sanford, alia@drkiltz.com. Give me 1 second and we'll do the next one.
And a real quick one, Paul Flynn. that essentially goat's milk is the closest, and probably was one of the earlier animals that we domesticated. And Christopher Ovard says, simple takes effort. Good simple is a challenge, not easy, in my opinion. I always use the words as I think to lead in my life. It's all easy and it's all simple. And when we begin to use the words enough, the body will follow. It's all a mind game, by the way. So, but each of us determines good, simple, easy. Who's next?
The feral grandmother, the feral grandma. Good job, feral grandma. Woo! Congratulations again. Oh, there is a discount code. Someone just asked if there's a discount code if you didn't get to win one. So I will supply that.
So the discount codes are the same across the board with all of our sales on our sites, that you can buy the things that we believe in. You get a discount and we get a little bit something to help fuel the mission. So
that's right.
That's real important. I will be.
What's the code?
It is. Give me a second.
Is it Dr. Kiltz?
Yeah, it's Dr. Kiltz.
Always Dr. Kiltz.
At tasty.net.
But it should be always Dr. Kiltz.
It should always be Dr. Kiltz.
And we have a link to get you always there on our sites as we're building our new stuff, by the way.
Yeah. And you get $30 off your purchase.
Awesome.
There you go.
And I'm with Dr. Tro tonight. Is that live or is that
it's pre-recorded? It's at 6 p.m.
Okay, 6 p.m. for Kiltsy.
Yep.
Drink goat milk. But again, the raw stuff is probably the least toxic for us.
Yeah.
Coach QC, any last minute thoughts?
No, as I said, I mean, life is already complicated. So just try to be as simple as possible. And yeah, try to be good to yourself, and then automatically you'll probably be good to others.
And where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on the Coach QC YouTube channel. I have a small account in Instagram where I share the shorts from any interview I do. And if people are interested into online personal training, I have my website that I can communicate to Elia. It's www.swiss. I don't know if it's in English.
Well, you can email it to me.
On Coach QC YouTube, you can find your links there, correct?
Yeah. You can find my website. Yeah.
Everything. So go to Coach QC on YouTube, subscribe.
Or in Instagram as well. They can write to me, and that's fine.
What do you have in your hands, Dr. Kiltz?
All right. So I got corralled into putting on a glucose monitor. I'm gonna have fun with this. You can either get the G7 from a prescription or the Stello on Amazon. And I've been following, I'm 2 days no food, by the way. And my average glucose is 95, although it's dropped to 55, like water only, no food. And actually most of yesterday, I didn't even drink water. So
are you trying to catch up?
Well, I'm trying to catch up to Dr. Vasquez, Dr. Nelson Vasquez. 10
on day
days
10.
no food.
Awesome.
What are your numbers? Are you doing your continuous?
Yeah, blood sugar this morning was 68. Ketones were 0.3.
You test the urine. I think the urine is the best place to test ketones. Because I think you talked about this yesterday. Ketones are always in the human body. Always. You just have lower amounts, but as you go longer not eating, the levels in the serum and the urine rise, and ketones are made in the liver, and they're always there. And basically, they're part of the making energy. So, all right.
Well, so far so good. We'll see. We'll maybe do another day.
Nice.
Are you tracking weight?
I am.
Can I get how much are you down?
Maybe. Well, I have to look at what it was the day I started, but somewhere between 6 and 8 pounds.
Wow.
But whenever I have fasted, before 3 or 4 days, I usually back up after I start eating. So we'll
I've
see.
noticed the same thing because the body does not want to be skinny.
Mhm.
Oh, between yesterday and today, I gained 1 pound, and I haven't had.
Oh,
Well, the accuracy of our scales, I wonder some days.
Of course, of course.
All right. Bonjour, everyone.
bonjour.
It's really a pleasure, Coach, to see you again. And
It was
let's-
my pleasure, Dr. Kiltz.
I'm so
and
glad we
maybe
got to do
get out
this.
to Switzerland or Europe. We'll get together and do a in-person live where you get out here for
Oh,
one of
yes,
our in-person meetups.
of course. Thank you very much for having me. It was such a pleasure to speak with all of you guys.
It's really great to be here with you and everyone else, and appreciate everyone for the like, share, subscribes, comment. We want to build this to millions of co-followers. Remember, the whole intention here is we're following each other to share a message, how we can control our own lives and not wait for the president, pope, priest, physician in order to control us. And eating the proper human diet. Our good friend Ken Berry, which shared us that carnivore is the way. And I know that Anthony Chafee says the species-specific diet. He likes to talk about a lion eats meat, a cow eats grass, and a pig eats anything. Which one are you?
Goodbye,
All right,
everybody.
goodbye, everyone. Have a good day.